Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I believe you enjoy this beautiful Qatar. Did you? Is that really a jewel? Huh? Very nice. Everything, the people, the shops, the small town, the welcoming of the people. Now, in the next 2 days, we are moving to Croatia. And that's an interesting country. It is bigger than Montenegro. That's where it's located. And here it's the same story that we have seen yesterday for Montenegro. However, Croatia, when they moved from 1946, soon after the Second World War, and then in 1992, they were the first of the former Yugoslavia countries that they became independent. So this was a big advantage for them to become independent because they could start to build the new country. It's much bigger than Montenegro. They have about 4 million inhabitants. And it develops in a very strange way, of course, because the battle there after the former Yugoslavia was to occupy the seafront because it was strategic. And Croatia succeeded a lot to have lots of land on the seaside. The flag of Croatia is a representation of what used to be in the past this area. The red and white were the kingdom of Croatia. The blue and the white were the kingdom of Slavonia. And the 5 arms on the top, they represent the 5 provinces in the past, which are representing the Croatia, the Dubrovnik, Dalmatia, Istria, and Slavonia. So the flag has really been built in representing the history. So the flag of Croatia represents the history of the country. And they moved faster. In 2013, they became a member state of the European Union. They had a negotiation from 25 to 2011. And on the 9th of December 2011, they were approved. And then on 1st of July 2013, they became a European Union member state. They had a lot of advantages because they could rebuild the money with European money. Another important aspect of the language of Croatia, the official language, of course, is Croatia. However, if from one side they use the Latin script, which is made by 30 letters, however, they have most of the English language alphabet, minus the Q, the W, the X, and the Y, but they have the addition of this other one that I don't want to pronounce because I'm not able to speak in Croatian. So it's a mixer alphabet, not definitely only with the Latin language. And what is interesting, in this country, everybody speaks another language. By the age of 7, they start to speak another language. And about 80% of the population speaks another language. Of this 80%, 81% speaks English. So by tomorrow, you will not have any problem to speak with anybody in this country. And about 14% they speak Italian, totally, because of some ethnicity they had in the past. And another language which is widely spoken in Croatia is German, plus the other typical language of the Balkans, which is Serbians and the other one. Of course, Croatia and Italy have been strictly linked in the past. And as we are moving toward Venice, more influence of this is seen. Since we started from Greece and from Corfu, which was the first island which was definitely under the Republic of Venice. I don't want to talk about history because there will be another presentation on that. But this is the kind of representation of an artist in the 1510. And as you see, this Schiavone, which is an Italian last name, I was from Croatia, made this representation. It looks extremely an Italian painting because he studied in Italy. This is another important aspect. In the history of Croatia, Of course, there was an impact on the culture coming from Italy, and particularly from the Serenissima, the Republic of Venice. And what happened that the Croatian, they were going to study in Italy, and they learned humanism. So they brought it back, the humanism in Croatia, and they even incorporated in their way of living the educational system of Italy, which was based on humanism. So the two coasts of the Adriatic Sea became culturally extremely close. They were totally merged. And from this slide, you can see how the influence of Venice was all over this Adriatic area. And you have seen many signs, even here in Montenegro, of the presence of the Republic of Venice at that time. And particularly the Dalmatian nobility was extremely linked, because at that time it was called the Venetian Dalmatia. At the Venetian Dalmatia, this were the Republic, this was the Serenissima, and this was the territory that they owned. The other one was the area that they influenced at that time. And from this other slide, you see on the Adriatic Sea, all this influence that has been over there, and is still present, even in their culture. They have this humanism in their culture. So sometimes you will feel that you may be in Italy, even though they're extremely proud to be Croatian, and they are not Italian. Sooner I will go back and show you a little bit what happened then in the history in the last 100 years, which also impacted a lot this interconnection and connectivity between Italy and Croatia. What are the most important cities? The city we are going to visit tomorrow is Dubrovnik, which is about 45,000 inhabitants, so it's definitely bigger than the city we visit today. However, this is not the capital. The capital is Zagreb, which is the largest city and the most important city, at the siege of the most important universities in Croatia. And then there are the city of Dubrovnik, Split, Zadar, which is also called Zara, and Rijeka, which is also called Fiume for some reason. So when we are landing in Dubrovnik, these are the most important areas that we are going to see. Of course, again, there are the city walls. City walls, why? Because this was the Venetian defense system. So all this city, since Corfu, there was always these city walls, because it was a system. And this became UNESCO approved landscape, because all the system you find on the Adriatic have this shape. And then you have some other palaces, and then the fort. The fort is very important. I will tell you why. You have seen for sure this fort, probably if you watch some movies. So this is Dubrovnik with the defense walls that we are going to see tomorrow. And as you see again, the terracotta dominating, which is typically from the Republic of Venice. And this is the walls, which are, as I told you, in the UNESCO World Heritage since 1979. It definitely is a walk that I would recommend you to take, because it's just beauty at the best sense. However, as you enter into the city, again, there are the palaces, the palace. And as you see, the style is again the Gothic from Venice. And this is the Sponsa. The Sponsa was the place where there were many public functions, and there are still many public functions. And this was the palace which was representing at the time the Republic of Dubrovnik, because there were these 5 republics in Croatia. And it is one of the richest archives of collection of arts, but unfortunately cannot be visited. It's close to the public. I don't know why, but it's close to the public. However, you can get in the memorial room, and you can have a commemoration of the soldiers that they died in the 1990 to defend the country after Yugoslavia broke down after the Berlin Wall, which was for the European a dramatic time at that time, because nobody of us expected in Europe to have this dramatic situation in the former Yugoslavia. This is the fort of St. John. It's a very nice shape. I don't know if anything comes up to your mind when you see this shape, but this castle is the entrance of the harbor of Dubrovnik, the old harbor of Dubrovnik, and it's part of the city walls. So it's integrated in the city walls of Dubrovnik. And it dates, the current situation is dated for the 16th century, even though the fort was firstly built in the 1300. So again, it was built to defend the city of Dubrovnik. It's an impressive monument in the city. And you will be definitely impressed. This is the Minzeta fortress. It's rounded. And this was built in the 1319. It's a square shape, and has been then rebuilt it in the 1454. And this actual shape became an attraction for some movie makers, because in this castle it was shot the Game of Thrones. And I will show you some of the situation. This is a guide tour. They bring you in the castle to see all the spots where the movies were shot, particularly the center of the series, The King's Landing, was shot in Dubrovnik in the fortress. And these are images taken from the movie in the castle. So if you watch the movie, maybe you can have some memories. And this is when they will go up on the ladders, on the steps of this fortress. So if you have time, you can have a guide tour of the place where the movie was shot. This is another important site to be visited. Is the monastery, the Dominican monastery. Now, why churches are extremely important in Croatia? Because the Croatian, they had a very close relationship with the popes, all the popes. So they are not Orthodox like we found so far. They are Roman Catholics. So they were very, very close to the Pope. So there was a time they even there were before the last earthquakes in the 1600, there were more than 66 churches all in Dubrovnik, which is a small city, it's a small town. And then some of them they went down. This is the church of Saint Ignatius. As you see, this is a typical Catholic church with the typical church which resemble the style of the St. Peter Cathedral in the Vatican City. And that's the reason. And they attracted, for this loyalty, in Croatia, there were a lot of Franciscan, Dominicans, and Jesuits that they came. So there is a strong impact in the way the monasteries and the churches were created based on these three orders, which were Roman Catholics. And let me move to this other town that we are going to visit the second day. This is Zadar. Zadar is even a smaller town than Dubrovnik. It is totally on the sea. I don't know exactly where we are going to dock, but this is the harbor. Probably we're going to dock on this harbor. I don't know because I'm not on the operation of the ship. And Zadar has been a Roman city, has been attracted a lot of interest from the Roman Empire. So you can find colonnades, columns, and the jigsaw assorted coming from the Roman Empire, as well as the campanile that you see on the picture, you can see in this other picture, which want to resemble a little bit the style of St. Mark's Square in Venice. But one thing which is extremely unique that you can see in Zara, in Zadar, is what they call the Santer. The Santer is what they call is a sort of something they done, is a monument to the sun. So they put this solar panel, and at the sunset, there is these colors that will be playing with the mirrors and the solar panels. It's really a mesmerizing sound which will come from this sea organ. And it's a beautiful way to finish a day. And there is a bar where you can have a cocktail by looking at this monument of the sun, which is an interesting monument that they thought to be realizing at that time. Again, as I told you, Zadar, again, they have the city walls, which is always the same style, like the Republic of Venice, which is, again, a UNESCO World Heritage. So, however, as I told you, Zadar, for a while, until recent years, they were Italy. Because what happened? Between the 1920 and the 1947, what happened? Zadar became Italian. Because in 1915, Italy entered the World War I. And under the provision of the Treaty of London, in exchange of this participation, for this triple entente from the France, UK, and Italy, they agreed that this area would be gone to Italy. So this northern part of Dalmatia became Italian for 27 years. And this was Italy at that time. And of course, another bad history was Fiume, Regica, which was the other city, which is close to Zara. This is another a little bit comedy story. I don't believe all of you know about it. But Gabriele D'Annunzio was an Italian poet and writer. He was a nationalist during the Mussolini era. And what he decided, while Fiume, Regica, was a neutral area, which was controlled by the French, the British, and the Italian. And they decided this area has to be a free area, because it was the castle between the Austro-Hungarian German territory and Italy. However, Gabriele D'Annunzio, one morning with these legionaries, he woke up and he went to Fiume, because he decided that in Fiume they spoke Italians, and so he had to become Italians. But of course, the Italian government at that time didn't know anything about it. And so in the 1919, this actor, comedian, poet, writer, and so on, created the Free State of Fiume, because the three powers didn't want to hurt each other. So they say, okay, now the situation is like that, so we don't do anything. So for 5 years, there was a Free State of Fiume, where this Gabriele D'Annunzio was the sort of governor. He nominated himself the governor of Fiume. We say that in Europe, this was the new era of the showman politics across Europe. It was the first case. Then we had so many others, of course. Then what happened? That in 1924, the fascist government, they said, no, we cannot keep this situation, and we cannot have an area which is... So what they decided to do, they went there with the Navy and with the Army, and they took it over. And so by 1924, Fiume became Italian, like Zara. So all this territory of North Dalmatia during Second World War was an Italian territory. So they changed the flags, they changed the culture, they changed everything. Of course, today, Fiume or Regica is part of Croatia. They are proud of this, and it's correct that they are proud of this. It's about 250,000 inhabitants, so it's quite a large town. It's a beautiful town. I don't know if any one of you will have the time to go there to visit. The harbor as well is gorgeous. However, what happened after the Second World War, unfortunately, it ended up in a very bad way, because once Italy lost the war again with Germany, they start to execute all the Italians that were living there, and some that were forced to leave Fiume. So it's one of the very sad history of the Second World War, which are not totally known outside Europe. That's why I wanted to touch a little bit this story. The capital of Croatia is Zagreb, which is a real European capital with 850,000 inhabitants, very efficient, beautiful. Of course, I gave just a short presentation of the city, because I don't believe any one of us is going to visit this trip, but it's worth to understand that this is the capital. And again, the terracotta dominating as always. And what is interesting, this is one of the churches I found very interesting in Zagreb. The San Mark Church, again, San Mark, Republic of Venice. This is an icon in Zagreb. And you know why? Because they have the coats of arms on the church. And that's again, they try to keep always history alive in their culture. And this is the Gothic church in this church. However, if you go to Croatia, you should have a look at the beaches. Croatia is a very touristic destination. It's believed that a trip in Croatia should include the beach. Right now, many of the beaches are considered by the most beautiful beaches in Europe, because they have these white sands and the clear water. This is Punta Rata. This is the Golden Horn Beach, which looks very Caribbean from my experience in the Caribbean as well. And then in Dubrovnik, there is also a beautiful beach, which is not far away from the city walls, which is the Danger Beach. If someone would like to have a walk on the beach, it's just beautiful, hoping that the sea will be calm. You can have this white effect and transparent, crystalline water to be seen. And this is another perspective of Punta Rata. Well, this other one is on the Dugi Island, which is beautiful, but I don't believe that we'll have time to go. And again, like yesterday, like other places in the Mediterranean, they also have a few jewels which are underground. There are two kinds of jewels which are underground. One is on the coastal, and one is on the mainland. The one on the coastal, there is another blue cave here. It's a special phenomenon in this blue cave, which happens only every day, well, according on the sun, between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And you have this blue effect into the water. So the sunlight enters through the cave underwater, so it comes from under the water, it makes the cave totally blue. This other one is where the cave is located, down here, so not far away from Dubrovnik. When you go on the mainland, they have a lot of speleological sites, which are extremely interesting. This is the Barak Caves. Barak Caves, it's an immense archaeological weight. And so the conservation department of Karlovac, which is the town which they belong, they are protected all the area as an archaeological zone in 2003. And there is a patchwork of artificial habitat which were created by the people living inside this speleological cave. And this is the area where it is, which is just beautiful, as you can see. It's the Plitvice Lakes. And this is probably the most popular national park in Croatia. Of course, if somebody goes to this park, it should go to explore this cave. The cave, the speleological cave, is open since 1892. So it's a long known cave. And this is the area. And you know what the inhabitants of this area are? The flying. The bats. The bats are the inhabitants of this area, in the cave and in the national park. In the area, there are other caves which are of speleological value. The Veteranica cave and the Motter cave, and the Vincia cave and the Serova cave. So now what I would like to say with this, that it's wealthy also for the people who love speleology, because they will have really a lot to do in this area. More interesting, and I would like to take 1 minute on this, is the Odysseus cave. Now, you know, the legend of Odysseus is that this is a legend and many other places. We spoke in another speech again about Odysseus. Ulysses was sailing, and at a certain point he was in a hurricane. And he found the entrance of the cave where there was Calypso. Calypso was a nymph. Nymph was this mythological woman. And Calypso seduced him and promised him immortality if he would stay with her. So it is believed that this cave is the cave where, is Odysseus. Odysseus was going around the world, but at that time around the world it was around the Mediterranean Sea. Ulysses was staying, and they called the Odysseus cave. Another features of Croatia, which is one of the reasons it's extremely known, very well known in Europe, is yachting and sailing. Right now, Croatia in Europe is considered to be a sailing paradise. And why? Because, Greece has 3,000 islands. Croatia has 1,200 islands. But what is important, 50 of them are inhabited. You can approach all of them. But they built a very well-developed yachting infrastructures. What I'm saying is an attraction. It's not a country having more yacht than sailing boat. The two European countries with more yacht and sailing yacht are France and Italy. But Croatia is the place where most of these people go to sail because of the infrastructure, particularly sailing boat. This is a motorboat, a motor yacht marina. And this other one you see, there are many marinas like this, which attracts a lot of sailing fanatics in Croatia. It's likely we will see a lot of sailing boats going around Croatia these days. And this one gives you an idea how beautiful it is to go around with a sailing boat among these inhabited islands in Croatia. Here give you an idea how many marinas they developed in few years to attract all the sailing fanatics here, which is frankly something very exciting for the people, because you can move every day to a different place just with a small sailing boat, even 30 feet. So it's extremely interesting. And you see, again, wherever you go, you find marinas. And for such a small country, it's really a lot. As I told you, small sailing boat, because it is a sailing paradise. And this is another area, the San Nicolas Fortress in Croatia, where the people go with their sailing boat, which is really a fantastic experience to get around. Now, before we get to close, there is something interesting about Croatia. Croatia is a sporting country. Now, Why Croatians are so strong on the international sporting stage? All the Croatians will give you the same answer. Croats are just naturally talented. And this is Igor Stimac, which is the coach of the Croatia national football team. Football is soccer in Europe. And the assistant sport minister, he will tell you it is a sport-talented nation, which it is. This is the soccer team. And this is a party they did a few years ago. Why they did this party? Because this small nation, since 1994, the Vatreni, which is the nickname of this team, they qualified for every major tournament, with the exception of Euro 2000 and the 2010 World Cup. But in 2018, they got in the final, and they were second. And that's what they were celebrating, because for such a small nation in soccer, to get second on the World Cup, it's extremely important. They were third on 2 occasions, in 1998 and 2002. And so they secured the total of 3 World Cup medals. And at that time, Davor Suker was the Golden Shoe. Golden Shoe is the best player of the World Cup. While Luka Modric won the Golden Ball in 2018, I will go back to this guy, because this guy is still playing in 2022. And they have reached the quarterfinal of the UEFA European Championship twice, in 1996 and 2008. And they finished second in the UEFA National League in 2023. And in June of this year, they got the highest ranking in the UEFA, which is the European Soccer Football Association. The guy I was telling you, this is the current Croatia captain. He's Luka Modric. He's 166 caps. So if you follow soccer, he is 37 years old. He's still the best player of Real Madrid, which is the best team in the world. He's considered one of the best teams in the world. And he's still playing. And he's a tough player. But it's not only soccer. Croatia is extremely strong in another sport, on water polo. So they're really talented. Water polo is a very tough sport, extremely tough. They are considered the best team in the world. I would say after Italy, but I can accept that because Italy also is extremely strong in water polo. They won the gold medals in the Olympics. They won the European Championship. They did the FINA. The FINA is the World Association of Swimming, and the World League and the Mediterranean Games. So they are considered one of the most successful men's water polo team in the world. They won a total of 28 medals of competition, but that's not all. You maybe in the United States, you see a lot of Croatian NBA players playing still now in the NBA. And this team was the only team who was able to talk with the US Dream Team at the time of the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, and I was there to watch the game. I was there in Barcelona to watch the game. And they were there. They played strongly with the US Dream Team, which is extremely amazing for such a small country of 4 million people. And to finish on the strong side with sport, maybe you know this guy. This is considered one of the best players in the NBA, was Drazen Petrovic. He's, of course, in the Croatia Hall of Fame. And together with other players like Kresimir Kovic, the Drazen Petrovic, and the legendary coach Mirko Novosel, and Tony's friend and longtime teammate Dino Rada. Now, all these players, I know because besides playing NBA, they also played in the Italian league at the time. All these, they were one of the best players in basketball. So, finishing on Croatia, what does it mean? That, of course, they are talented, but I believe they are so proud of their nationality and their country, that when they go on the sports side, or when they work in a hotel, or when they work in a boat, or when they work in a shop, They want to show always the best or whatever they can do, even more. And this is something that I believe in the next couple of days in Croatia, you are going to appreciate. Thank you very much for sharing this time with me. Thank you very much.